And it is a Friday, 12 noon Eastern time here on the right coast of America. In the Midwest, it could be 11, it could be 10, and then on the West Coast, hey, it's only 9 a.m. this morning. So I welcome you to this week's episode of the CVC Home Service Success Network, where we share with you every week some ideas, some processes, and sometimes we come up with some really unique guests, and we'll tell you about next week's presentation at the end of this one. So if you're joining us live, we appreciate you being here. And if you're listening to us on the replay, hey, we welcome you aboard and really glad to see that you're joining us here. We're getting out to a lot of people every week, and our penetration is getting really good. And it looks like a lot of people like us from a lot of the comments that we're getting. So, what's today's subject matter? Hey, are you ready for the season? You know, every business has an up and a down part of the year. And during certain parts of the year, business is going to come in at such a force, such a velocity that very commonly you don't have the capacity to really handle the needs. So we got just about 5 weeks left before we hit D-Day for the chimney and venting industry, because we all know what happens come September when we get past Labor Day, when the frost first starts falling, and everybody wants you out at their home, and they're calling and they're saying, hey, we'll be home today. Come on out. Then you have the issue of telling them, well, guess what? It's going to be weeks. And what's even worse, this may be a previous customer that you do every year, and every single year, what do those people do? They wait till the last minute to call you. They wait no matter what you do. And we're also going to talk about that some next week with the special guest we got coming in next week that we're going to be doing an interview with. But today's episode is, are you ready for the season? And if you're not in the chimney and venting industry, we'll say you're a home inspector. Hey, springtime, that's the busy time for the home inspection industry. If you're in air duct cleaning, that's a late winter going into the springtime business that hits its biggest strides at that point. Carpet cleaning, everybody's got different seasons. So what do you do to be prepared? So that's what today's subject matter is. And all of us have worked in the chimney and venting industry. We've worked with consumers, we've worked with prospects over the years, and we all know what the frustrations are that you're going to be going through in just a couple weeks. It's not going to be long. And what it's going to do is it's going to put your systems to the test. You're going to find out where you're failing at. But be aware, a vast majority of your dollars, your profit dollars, are going to come in this busy season. So, Brandy, I'm going to start with you today. And what's your thoughts on how does a business prepare for this onslaught that we know is coming, where the phone is ringing off the hook, where your CSRs, their ears are ringing because the phone, they're connected up to it all the time, and they can't even keep up with the demand. What's your recommendation to get ready for the season?
Well, I have pages of recommendations, so I'll probably have to lump them in just together. First, I wanted to give a shout out real quick to my nieces in Oregon who sent me this cute little mug that I could have on air today. So thank you to Joanna, Lucy, and Victoria. That's just my little personal thing.
Well, I got a yellow solo cup. They didn't, you
You
guys
need a
send
mug.
me a cup. I'll have a mug to send out too that we can, hey. And Randy said one time, send us a mug, send us a
I
cup,
did.
and we'll put it on here.
It
So
didn't
sorry.
take off.
Yeah, so sorry for disturbing you, Brandy, but that thought just came to my head. I had to get it out.
No, that was good. Yeah. I mean, it was free advertising and nobody sent us mugs. But anyway, I'm going to start on the medical side just because that's kind of where I love, obviously. So I think having a plan in place for when your employees get sick is really important, or if they get hurt. So I recommend everybody have like an occupational health clinic that they work with. Most of those occupational health clinics will actually come to your workplace and give flu shots if your employees want their flu shots. But one of the things is as you know, we get booked out really far. And one of the big mistakes I see companies make is, I think it's Lindemann that coined the term, it's chimney day. And they have employees call in sick and then they reschedule all those customers. And you just mentioned those customers have been waiting for 6 weeks. And now we're telling them we can't come because we have employees out sick. So you also need to have a backup plan for if you do get call-ins. But how do we keep our employees healthy during that time? I know for us, we even like provide Dayquil and NyQuil and Benadryl and Tylenol. We have like a whole medicine cabinet for the employees that if they are just fighting a cold that day or they're not feeling their best, we just give them a brand new bottle to have with them.
So wait a minute. So you're telling everybody we need to be prepared to medicate and drug our employees. Is that what I'm hearing?
I am. We've done that for 100 years, and I truly believe in it. People come to work and they're on their way to work, and they're like, "Gosh, I don't feel really good. I feel kind of achy." And as long as they're not contagious, suck it up and work through your day, but take some medicine for it.
So are they lined up at your office saying, "Hey, give me my drugs"? I mean, I'm just imagining this at Blues Brothers. They're all lined up at Brandy's door waiting on medication from the company nurse.
Cough drops, all of it. Yeah, we have it all. So definitely I would start there. So flu shots, staying healthy. I've got a lot of other recommendations, but we want to make sure that we've got the staff to service our customers this winter.
Well, why don't you keep going? I do not want to cut you off of that list. I don't want to hear you later saying you didn't let me get it all out. So let's read down that hit list you got.
All right. Well, good. I guess I can just take up the whole hour then. No, I'm kidding. So evaluate what you can do better from last year. So look at what we did last year and what could we do better? What went wrong? Making sure that you have the right equipment. So if you are low on any type of equipment, make sure that you've got it stocked up, have extra chim scans, whatever that looks like for you. What is your marketing? Most of us don't really need to market in the winter. We have enough business. So can you take that budget down in the winter? Enough staff. This is the time where people are ramping up their staff for the fall and winter. So look at that right now. Now's the time to be getting those people ready. Preparing your employees. So especially if you have, we'll go back to the CSR example. If you have a new CSR that wasn't there last fall, that can be kind of a shock for them if they've just started this summer and then it's fall and the phones are ringing off the hook. So preparing them for what that's going to look like and how to handle that influx and that volume. You can also send them to my CSR Basics class happening here in Kansas City on August 24th and 25th to help get them ready. Making sure your website's optimized. There's nothing more embarrassing than your customer knows about something on your website that you don't. So make sure also that your employees are familiar with your website. Make sure that we're putting the customers first. At the end of the day, they're why we're here. So make sure that you are putting them first and what that looks like and being cognizant of that and cognizant of their time. Make sure that you have all your policies and systems in place. So you're going to be taking a lot of repair deposits. What does that look like if the customer needs to cancel the repair? For example, at my company, we have a 20% restocking fee. We take a 50% deposit and then they lose 20% of that if they have to reschedule or cancel. Really, if they reschedule, we'll credit it back. But if they cancel, 20% goes to restocking. Automate anything you can. Anything that you can automate and take off the CSR and tech's hands, the better. And we are definitely going into the world of automation. Safety equipment. Make sure that you've assessed that and that it's all ready to go, that all looks good. Delegate what you can. And in this part, I'm even speaking to the business owners because you're going to be spending a lot more time at work as well. So what can you delegate at home? Can you delegate the house cleaning? Do you hire a chef for the winter or hire one of those meal delivery companies? What can you delegate so that you can focus your full attention on the business? Blackout days. So are there going to be days coming up where people cannot ask off for? Go ahead and let them know that, hey, this is a blackout day. Nobody can ask off for this day. Or we already have 3 people off this day. You can't ask off. We just went over our holiday schedule and our fall winter policy this week with our team. So because we do get 6 weeks booked out, you can't tell me a week from now that you need off the next day. It's just not going to work. We need that 6 weeks notice. And then we send out a holiday schedule so that if they want those days off around the holiday, we know ahead so that we're not filling up the calendar. Let's see, make sure you're caught up on summer jobs. That seems kind of self-explanatory, but there's nothing worse than you're going into the fall and you still have parts and things out on your summer jobs. Stocking up with your vendors, making sure that you've got everything, all your pre-orders done, all the units you sold last year, make sure you've got those in stock for this year. Setting your customer expectations. And this is another one that goes back to like the CSR that I think is really important. Weather, for example. So the weather's going to get bad, especially depending on where you're living at. And we're going to have to silence Josh there, like mute his microphone.
I just did.
His dogs are taking away from me. But making sure that your customers know what that policy looks like, so that if it's the day of your repair and we've got 3 feet of snow, how is that going to be handled? How are they going to be notified? Setting boundaries with your employees, with your family, with your customers, whatever that looks like for you. Going back to the outsourcing, maybe it's that you're hiring just a temp agency to help out in the office for the winter because you don't need them year round. And let's see if I missed out anything, Jerry. Taking care of yourself. I think that's a big one. I go over with my employees, just making sure that they're getting plenty of rest, that they're taking their vitamins, that they're staying their healthiest. Again, going back to immunizations and the flu shot. But for the business owners, especially because they're working lots more hours. Also with that, do you guys work Saturdays maybe during the fall and you don't do that during the summer? So setting that expectation and what that's going to look like, or are you on a rotation? So I could just go on, but I'll let somebody else talk for now. But that's just kind of what I brainstormed this morning.
That was a very comprehensive list, Brandy. I want to congratulate you. Just like always, you do a lot of research into that and come to these broadcasts fully prepared. And I didn't want to cut you short, and I knew you had a lot there. So those were all great ideas. So Josh, I'm going to swing over to you. We've got to turn your mic back on, so maybe the puppy will quiet down. But anyway, so what's your thoughts? How do you prepare for this onslaught that we know is going to happen?
Yeah, sorry about that. I had the mute button pushed on my end. I don't know what happened there because I'm literally looking at the mute mic button. It's like, no, it says it's off. So I don't know what happened there. Sorry. So mine's going to be vehicles. Now's the time to buy an extra vehicle. Now's the time to make sure tires are, in good shape. Any extended maintenance needs to be done. Ladder racks, ladders. Brandy said extra chim scans. That's a big one. Because trying to think what else. Make sure now's a good time to clean the trucks out. And now's a good time to empty everything off the truck. And then make sure all their inventory levels are where they're at. Screws, nuts, bolts, adhesives, all that. We have a huge list to go through. Just in case stuff we don't use often, but that 5 cent nut will save you, oh my God, hundreds of dollars.
Yeah. So Cheryl, you own a manufacturing business and you have a season that starts in late winter and then extends on through, in through the spring and into the summer in your outdoor living manufacturing business. So even though that's not a fall time, what is your outlook? What is your thoughts? And you worked long enough in my chimney and venting business to know this. What do you suggest that people do to prepare for this onslaught once we reach and pass Labor Day?
Well, the thing about it, if you've been in business, you've been there the year before. You know a lot of the things you missed the year before. Number one, start with those. Get them out of the way. Hiring's my thing. Brandy, here's my list. Looked a whole lot like Brandy's. But I'm going to lay that over there because I don't know of anything else on there. But hiring, don't stop hiring. We keep pushing that. We hire for chimney service people all year long. We just look for different qualities at different times of the year. But if you're in the chimney service business, and I'll go back to mine, I'm in a second. If you're in the chimney service business, you've got to have these people set and ready to go by Labor Day. So we need them in now. We needed them in weeks ago. So that's the main thing. People now are starting to panic, and I've got to get them in. I've got to get them trained. You're almost too late. Now my season's different. I start that hiring heavy part in November, actually. So through December, sometimes October, it depends which facet I'm hiring for. I try to get them in so I can have them ready to go literally when HPBA goes. If we don't start our business heavy right then, that's our kickoff date. So I always try to have the people in place. I need to have them trained. You cannot train a person in season and train them, correctly in my book. You can get a breathing body, and right now it sounds terrible, but that's what a lot of people in the chimney service, they're willing to settle for right now, is a breathing body.
Yeah. So you've heard a lot of great things about getting ready. But here's what I want you to do. I want you to enter into this fall with the following goal, that you don't repeat the same mistake on following falls. So here's what you need to do. You need to start putting together a diary, a roster, a listing of every hole that you fall into, every pothole that comes up in the way. And what you do is, and we often tell people this, it's not time to start new systems. It's sure not a time to roll out new software in September, October, November, those months. But what you got to do is put together, what are the potholes? What are you falling in? What's robbing your profits and your profitability and your efficiency through the fall? Every single day, you need to be making a list of what are these pitfalls, what's happening. Yeah, when you look at it right now, I would suggest that you bring your entire team together. Go take everybody to dinner somewhere. Don't include the wives, the husbands. It is strictly the members of your team. And lay out what we're getting ready to go through. I mean, just like Brandy said, I think she's really nice. You can ask for a day off in the fall. Well, realistically, a day off in the fall in the middle of busy season, that's actually equal sometimes to 2 or 3 days other times of the year. And that's one of the things you want to stress. Take your time off, take your paid holiday, all your vacations. That needs to already be done. Come the 1st of August, it's Katie bar the door. Your vehicles, every single one of them needs to be checked out front to back. Tires, do they need to be replaced? Are the brakes there? I recently know a company that went down just this week because a brake line broke. Okay, imagine this, the brake line broke. So you need to take every vehicle, these are your rolling workshops. Every single one of those needs to go to the mechanic that you trust and run it front to back. Is it time to change the transmission fluid and the transmission filter? A lot of people don't know. This stuff needs to be changed. Is it time to have front end work done? Is it time to rebuild the front end? Whatever. And like Josh said, we see successful people that actually have a fully equipped van ready to rock and roll. I know I've got one client and he always kept a van, and I'll tell you the color of it. It was purple, and it was always sitting there ready to rock and roll. So if somebody had an accident and they hurt the vehicle, they could replace that vehicle and keep going. So that's what you got to visualize. What in the past has threw a kilter into your fall operations, your busy season? Think about, spend some time and look back and see what has killed you in the past. Additionally, what we see people do is they stop having their morning meetings. We're too busy to have morning meetings. They stop training. They need to still use tidbit training, which is only going to take 3 to 7 minutes a day. And you go over that. You have to track your waste. Track and measure your waste. What this is going to tell you is, do you have a system that's ready to go? You've heard my Brandy and myself teach classes for years. And one of the things I've always told people, anytime there's a mistake, there's 3 reasons. Number 1, there is no system. Number 2, the system is wrong. Number 3, someone didn't follow the systems. Believe me, I just had a major calamity yet this week at my house because someone didn't follow the systems. It wasn't Cheryl. And I lost my cool yesterday when I saw this had fallen through. Okay. So what you got to do is make sure, are you prepared? You got to go to the Boy Scout motto, be prepared. You know what's going to happen. Stop putting it off. The other thing is, don't fall into the desperation hiring trap. I see people do this every year. They hire somebody. It may be a previous employee that didn't work out. But you see Brandy shaking her head right now. They didn't work out before, and you're so desperate, you bring this person back in and you go through the pain again. Keep it in mind, one little mistake, someone could get hurt. Your customer could get hurt. You're putting yourself into a high state of liability. So those are my thoughts going. Randy, after my tirade and your nicely presented stuff, what's your thoughts next on this?
Yeah, so I would make sure that you're setting some goals as well for both the technician and the office side. So look at what revenue you brought in last October and how many calls you booked last October, and set some goals off of that. I think that people are more driven when they have a goal. You can even dangle a carrot and put a little reward at the end for that goal. Also, make sure that you have a snow cancellation policy in place if you live in an area that gets snow. Here in Kansas, we do get snow. Typically, we can still make it work, but there are parts of the country that they have to shut down when there's snow. So what does that look like? How are the employees notified? Do they get paid for that day or not? A lot to consider. So make sure you have a policy around that. And then for your CSRs too, just tightening up those phone scripts. Do a phone audit now and make sure that they're following your phone scripts, because when those phones get busier, it's going to be even more important. So make sure that they know the phone script, they're following it, they're sticking to the policy and the process.
There you go. And Josh, as she was talking, I was thinking about what would Josh do? I'm thinking right now of the wiki page, the digital knowledge base. And in your digital knowledge base, the people that work at your company know that if it's snowing, it's already said what we're going to do, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
There is a inclement weather policy in place. So just for example, like snow day, actually I'm trying to think if any of my employees actually live in the county we work out of. So it's set to that school system. So one of the things is with snow days, if there's a 2-hour delay or a school closing, let's wait for the sun to come up. Like, because we start at 7. So if I leave my house at the normal time, which is 6, the sun's not up that time of day. Sun doesn't really come up till about 7:30. So we have an automatic 2-hour delay. Our customers are notified of that as well. And said, okay, we need an opportunity to come, see what the damage is, what the roads look like before we can do that. And so that is an automatic, 2-hour delay.
Okay, got you covered. So anything else you would add into this that we're talking about, which is how to be prepared? Is anything else you could think of you would want to tell people?
So obviously, and make sure the warehouse is stocked now too, with your venting. Like one thing that seems to always be hard to get is elbows for Class A chimneys. Make sure those are in stock. I know they're stupid expensive, but they'll definitely hold up an entire job. Straight lengths come a lot faster than elbows and T's and stuff like that. It's good to be stocked up on those things.
Yeah, it's really bad to have an installation that you can't do today because you don't have all the components. Not only is it going to be a loss of profit, but you can have a customer like me that doesn't want to hear that crap. Okay, they just don't want to hear it. So is there anything else you'd add, Josh?
Let's see, stocking. Obviously, cleaning the warehouse is a good one too. Now is a good time if there's dead product to get it out of there. If you have stoves that are onesies that need to be gone, you can make sales flyers, because sometimes those customers come out right now. Murder my chihuahua. So those are all, let's see, warehouse, trucks are clean. He got me off.
Josh, I have a question for you. So, because I thought this would be a cool idea on your wiki page, and I'm sure you can do this because I feel like you can build anything. Could you build, like, if the company had a goal of, like, we'll just say $500,000 in revenue for the month, could you build like one of those little, those little like temperature gauges that goes up and up and up as they meet the goal?
Yeah, you can definitely do that. You could also do sales bars graphs. You can post that right up there, right on the front. We have one of the things we have right on the front is the clearance appliances. That's one thing that everyone has access to.
That's a great idea.
yeah, here's what's on sale. Here's what's so that's just an easy way to communicate what's in stock that we need to move out of here.
I think going back to the weather too, I think you've got to have a way to contact your customers if there's that snow and you are working to say like, hey, can we get up your driveway? I know here where we're at, there's some rural areas that they have a gravel mile-long driveway. So we're probably not going to be able to get up the driveway. So having like a mass text that you can send out to the customer saying, yes, we're still coming. Please make sure you have the driveway clear or let us know if we can't come.
Yeah, many years ago when we had that 2 foot of snow, and the customer was like, well, don't you have 4-wheel drive? I'm like, I can't, that's higher than my radiator, lady. Like, you like take some responsibility for your own home.
Okay. So with what Josh just said, this is also vastly important where your person on the phone has got to be able to speak with empathy and understanding and understand that the customer doesn't understand that you don't have 4-wheel drive.
A monster truck.
I mean, really. See, and that's the whole thing because you answer like my friend Josh just did. Customer may tell you where you can stick the chimney. Okay. People get hurt.
I didn't say that to her. I was thinking it, Jerry.
I understand. But the problem is, does it come out? That's why they don't allow you on the phone at Tri-County. Okay.
It's okay, Josh. I would have been thinking, let me just hop on my broom and fly over there.
Yeah, I know.
But what I would actually say though is, gosh, I wish we did. That would be great. We could service a lot more customers.
That's it. And you wouldn't want to mention a broom because I was thinking, yeah, I can only imagine what color broom you got, lady, to fit you. Really, you put it. You got to remember those words, like Josh just shared.
The Nimbus 2000.
Yeah, you got to remember, words can come back to haunt you later. Teach your people. That's an important thing, Brandy. Do you agree to keep your cool and show empathy and understand that the customer doesn't understand? Is that part of what you should be training?
The 2 words that fix everything are "I'm sorry." I'm sorry we can't get up your driveway. I'm sorry to hear that your cat died this morning. But saying it like in a genuine way, like how I'm saying it now is on the phone. I would say it much more genuinely with much more empathy to the customer. The whole bless your heart thing, I don't know, that kind of rubs me the wrong way.
Well, it's just when the part of the state country we live in, bless your heart's part of the normal kind. And also, I know as a dedicated dog lady, it would be hard for you to say, well, I'm sorry your cat is perished. Okay. But yes, as Barbara added, the words I understand, okay? And she's learned that from your teachings and my teachings over the year of simply saying I understand. That can make it all better.
Good job, Barbara. You were an A+ student.
There you go. So Cheryl, you're over there and we've been talking a lot. And so come on back in the conversation. What else would you talk about in this?
Well, the thing is you've got to start somewhere. It's almost too late now to start for the chimney service industry. I mean, you're behind the gun at this point. So this may be something that you rush through and get what you can get done this year, but put it on your schedule to start this prep at the beginning of next year so you're ready for season the next. You can't do everything. You can't send everybody to the trainings. You can't bring in-house trainers. You can't hire enough people. You can't put your whole fleet in the shop right now. So come in the right season, you can do ones at a time and get it done. But right now, again, in the chimney service industry, I would say, and you 3 can contradict me, but you're behind the gun at this point.
Yes, you are. So what you also want to do is sit down right now. Even if you didn't make the notes from last fall, think, what were the things that drove you crazy last fall? What were the pitfalls? What were the potholes that you were falling into a year ago? And you got to be determined to build a system to get out of this. And if you don't have the system, how are your people going to follow this? So it's really important to follow the system and to have systematized operations. It's like Josh was talking about. Hey, if it snows, Listen to the radio, listen to the TV. What are the schools doing? And we're going to follow that process. Have this all decided, because there's nothing like waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning and having to make this decision. And then you got to get in touch with everybody to get those words out. So those are your key things.
Jerry,
Yes.
let me intersect here. Another thing is we do the SWOTs. Go back to your SWOT. Pick up some of the problems that were in that SWOT. Get it on that list, because if it was a problem last year, it's going to be a problem this year and a problem next year. And also, and again, you can contradict me here, I think you can ask your employees, is there anything we can do to prevent certain footballs and fumbles as we talk about the transfer of information? Because they're the ones that's actually handling it.
Yeah. And what always comes out in the SWOT, the number one problem is lack of communication. We're not communicating it across. This just comes overriding. Now, here's an additional thing to think about. Sometimes people actually need somebody to come in and observe the operation, which is one of the things that I do with people all over the country. And the fall is the best time for this to do, because, and coming in to do an analysis, I'm observing your operation, and I want to see it at its worst, at its most hectic, at its most chaotic state. So one of the things that you may want to think about doing is have an analysis of the business done, to review your operations, listening to your people on the phone. Are they actually attracting business? Or in some cases, I hear them running businesses off. They don't want to talk about it. Then also have a goal this fall to convert every customer that calls you in the fall into a regular season customer, where they're getting their annual service done in the spring and the summer when you need them. You need to be concentrating that over the coming months. These are all new customers. This is when we build up our clientele, and then we convert those into annual customers. That's what your dentist does, and you got to have that same process.
You hit the nail on the head with that one, Jerry, because I know companies, and I'm sorry if I offend anyone listening, but I know there's companies out there that they just refuse to service previous customers during the winter. That would make me so mad if I'm your previous customer and I need you in October and you're saying, I'm sorry, we only do new customers this time of year. You're not going to have me as a customer. But if you can keep reminding them throughout the winter. And Jerry, I did think of two more. August is when you should be ordering your winter wardrobe for your technicians in office, because otherwise, if you wait till October and then they're 6 weeks behind because everybody's ordering, and then your guys don't have the proper clothing for winter and they're not looking professional, or they don't have their fingers covered and it's -2. And then also too, just from an office perspective, because I'm that person that's always cold during the day. If you're in an old building, like provide space heaters for the office staff. Let them have something. As long, I know Josh is shaking his head because he's thinking it's going to cause a fire, but that's on your checklist. That's on the end of the day checklist, are all the space heaters off. And,
we have an entire store of space heaters.
well, that's true.
Load the wood stove.
Not everybody has that. Not everybody has a showroom. So if you don't have a showroom, make sure that they're warm and comfortable. Nobody wants to be cold and miserable while they're doing their job.
That's it. So that's good. Anything else you would add onto today's broadcast for advice, Brandy? You're pretty well covered from your aspect.
I think that's pretty well covered, except send your CSRs to my class August 24th and 25th.
That's exactly right. Highly stress that, getting them into the learning loft there in Kansas City. That way they're going to learn about scripting. They're going to learn how to build the empathy, the understanding, and understanding what the customer really needs. So it's a great investment, a great consideration for you. Josh, anything you would add into this?
Well, as you were talking, as we were talking earlier, have someone secret shop you. Have a friend do it, and find out what their experience is like dealing with your company. Because I just went to I just did it, and for a potential client, they didn't know I was doing it, and I'm 6'3". They ignored me. I mean, I had employees flat out. I'm sitting there kicking the tires on a $6,000 pellet stove, sticking my head in it, looking for what kind of T-bone it's got, and you're like, please help me. My employees walk right by me.
Yep. And to be honest with you, I've been in 2 retail stores in the last 3 weeks. The same thing. Walked in, walked around there, and was completely ignored. It was like they didn't even know I was in the store. It was really, really bad. And you're paying a lot of money for leads. So what Josh just said, and Josh, that's kind of down to the analysis of what we do during analysis. And realistically, where we can see where these mistakes are happening so we can put together strategic plans that they don't repeat themselves. Cheryl, anything else from you?
The main thing I would say is don't procrastinate. This is not a time. This is not a time to jump on your own leisure van. It's time to get busy.
That's it. So at this point, I want to share with you what next week's episode is going to be about. And this goes about because a couple of people that we know found a new system for follow-up and marketing, and they shared it. And now at this point, I've got about 6 clients that are now using this new system. And Brandy Biswell is one of them. Now, let me tell you something. If you want to sell Brandy on something that's going to cost her and Jeremy money, she's a pain in the ass to sell to. Okay, I'm just going to tell you. So, warning, if you ever decide you want to make a sales presentation to Flues Brothers, that Brandy Biswell is a pain to get it through. She's going to put you to the test. I watched her do it so many times. So, Brandy, I'm going to let you tell the folks a little bit about who our guest is next week. And next week, we'll have Randy back on here, okay? And what happened here is I'm going to flush up Barbara because she works at the company, okay? So, Brandy, tell them about Chirp, and that is CHIIRP. And I bet you something. I bet you've been chirped in your life by other companies because once I found out what they were doing, it's like, hey, I've been getting chirped for a while now. So, Brandy, share a little bit about who Chirp is that we got on next week.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't know Sperling was going to be on next week. That'll be good to have him back.
You said that Randy needed to replace you, and I just bring them in beside you, okay?
So Barbara was correct. It was Chirp. It was actually, I heard about Chirp from the owners of the company that Barbara works for, is how I first heard about them. They had called me asking about another marketing program that they were looking into, and they ended up not going with it, and they went with Chirp. So when I researched, and Barbara's been in my class, and so this statistic's actually old now. When I was giving this statistic, it was saying within 2 years, 75% of our customers are only going to want to book with us, talk to us, anything through text. I don't want an email. They don't want an email. I have thousands of emails that I get every day, and I don't have time to look at the emails for my kids' school, plus the emails for work, and then also an email from my plumber or my heating and cooling company. That's going to get pushed to spam or to the bottom of the pile. I don't have time to look at that. I also don't have what's that?
I said, I've seen your email.
Yes. I also don't have a lot of time to pick up the phone and call because I'm busy. But if I can do it right here on my phone and text, and guess what? I'm always looking at my phone because I am looking for texts from my children here. So I'm always looking at this. So if I can get a text from my plumber, all the better. And so Chirp is a system that takes that automation over for you for texting your customers. They can also do ringless voicemail, which I didn't even know about until we signed up with Chirp. They literally are what kept us busy this winter. And I don't want to give away too much because we'll be interviewing them next week. But when I talked about one of the things you need to do for fall is automation, that's a big part of it.
That's it. And like I said, this Chirp system, and that's one of the things that we like to do. We like to bring out things, people, systems that are working for people. That's one of the benefits of listening to us here. A lot of times we're going to be on the forefront here at the CVC Home Service Success Summit. We're going to be telling you things to go to. Now be aware, this is not for return to us. One of the things that we do not get is we never ask for kickbacks from our vendors. We ask them sometimes, and this is where Brandy shines, we'll get her on. Hey, go after them to get us a special discount. So you may hear those kind of things. But that's going to be, Brandy, do you remember the people that are going to be on our call next week, their names?
Yeah, I think we're going to probably have both Ryans. So Ryan, the owner of the company, Ryan, who onboards most of the customers, and then also Justin, who is the one that people mainly meet with when they do their demo. And Justin actually used to work for Podium, which I learned from another client. Is also a huge texting platform. And Ryan, I'm hoping Ryan owner is going to be on the show because he has a really cool story about how he got into this.
That's it. So join us next Friday, 12 noon Eastern time, just like every week. and be prepared to ask questions because this is going to be part of it. You can actually enter your comments, enter your questions into the chat bar where they can answer them for you. So we're looking forward to that next week. And like I said, next week, Randy it'll be 5 of us next week, Randy. You are not getting replaced, okay? No matter how you want to do it, unless you keep having, again, are you having these classes on Friday just to miss joining us?
No, I'm really just doing it for convenience of the students.
I'm just saying, I'm just making sure if there was a concealed message here. Okay. So anyway, but join us next week and hopefully that will give you another great idea that you may want to implement that can really help you lean out the season. Because whenever I saw other people and how successful they were, and after I saw that they had endured their interview process with Brandy and came out with flying colors, hey, this is a company I think we need to tell more people about. So anyway, appreciate you joining us this week on the CVC Home Service Success Network. Tune us in every week at 12 noon Eastern Time on Friday afternoons, or you can also catch us on a replay, and you can also catch the audio version on our podcast. So appreciate you being here, and we'll see you next week on the next episode of the CVC Home Service Success Network. Have a great weekend as always.